Welcome to Horror Funk Town, where we explore the darkest corners of amusement park disasters. Today, we delve into the infamous Sandblaster roller coaster crash at Daytona Beach, an incident that revealed shocking negligence behind the scenes and why Florida is always trying to kill you. In 2013, Boardwalk Amusement opened their theme park on Daytona Beach and erected the Sandblaster roller coaster, which had been operating since the 1970s. After refurbishing the ride that year, they opened it to the public. Little did the public know, the refurbishment was not done properly. Boardwalk Amusement knew this and opened it anyway. Then, 5 years later, disaster struck in the park, changing 10 lives forever. Following a thorough investigation, shocking evidence would come to light, showing that serious neglect and malpractice occurred behind the scenes, and the incident that day could have been completely avoided. But what did happen that day? Let's talk about it. This is the infamous Sandblaster disaster, the disaster at Daytona Beach. Daytona Beach is a popular coastal city located in Volusia County, Florida, in the United States. Known for its wide stretch of sandy beaches, vibrant atmosphere, and lucrative nightlife, Daytona Beach is one of Florida's major tourist destinations, with over 9 million people visiting each year. The city has a rich cultural scene with museums like the Museum of Arts and Science, and there are various festivals and events held on the beach throughout the year. In 2013, the much-anticipated Boardwalk Amusements theme park opened. Boardwalk Amusements was home to the iconic Sandblaster, which before the events of 2018 was a popular roller coaster with a lengthy history. The Sandblaster was a steel roller coaster created by the Italian roller coaster manufacturer Pininfarina in the early 1970s. Pininfarina were established in the 1920s, and before their liquidation in 2004, built over 180 different roller coasters across America. Since the 70s, the Sandblaster has been renamed countless times. It started off at Adventureland Park in Addison as the Super Italian Bobs. It then moved to Legend City and was renamed the Sidewinder, but the ride was eventually purchased by Boardwalk Amusement and refurbished in 2012. The Sandblaster stood at an intimidating 85 feet, and the track was over 2,500 feet long. Lasting around 2 minutes, riders would drop 65 feet in total, and the ride featured spiral corners and fast straights at a supposed top speed of 35 miles per hour. The train was a single 3-car with a maximum capacity of 12 people. The attraction operates as a gravity ride, where the cars descend from a higher to a lower elevation, utilizing specially shaped wheels to navigate a metal track constructed from 2-inch diameter steel pipe. It's designed to avoid negative G-forces, inverted actions, or intense maneuvers. The safety precautions included safety wheels beneath the track to prevent potential derailment if a car attempts to lift off. The ride was popular, but little did the public know it was in a dire state of disrepair. This would all become apparent on June 14, 2018, after an incident occurred in the park, changing the lives of everyone on board. At around 8:25 p.m., 10 people were loaded onto the Sandblaster, ready to ride. 4 people were in the front car, 4 in the middle, and a further 2 in the back car. The ride set off, but it was noticeable straight away that something wasn't right. According to Amanda Bostic, who was one of the riders, as the ride started, it was shaky and didn't feel as stable as other rides they had been on. This is because it wasn't stable. The wheels weren't working as intended. Riders further noticed just how bad things were when the train went around the first corner. She said, "It seemed to be going a lot faster than I felt comfortable with. As we went around the turn, it felt as if it wasn't completely attached to those tracks. I was told that I bounced from support beam to support beam like a pinball. As the train sped through the track and approached the second corner section of the ride, the lead car's front wheel detached from the track, derailing the train. So at this point, the train was still going around with its wheels on top of the track. As it came off the corner and entered a straight section of the track, the train hit a pair of magnetic brakes. Magnetic brakes are placed at the side of the track and use magnetic forces to slow down a roller coaster, but they don't usually come into contact with the roller coaster at all. However, because of the derailed wheels, the train hit these brakes and sent the lead car off the track, hanging above the ground. 2 riders were thrown 34 feet to the ground below. Amanda recalled the moment she was thrown, saying, "I remember hearing a lot of screeching, a lot of metallic sounds that just weren't right. I closed my eyes. I held on. I remember being airborne, feeling as if I was falling, and then the next thing I remember was coming to, on the ground, looking up. The train was left dangling, and 2 people were clinging on for dear life. It was completely off the track, and witnesses couldn't believe what they had just seen. One said, "I just saw it fall off. I just thought it was part of the ride because we were kind of far away, and then we heard a big bang, and people screaming like they were hurt. It was barely hanging on by a thread. It looked like it could have snapped off at any point. It looked like plastic was literally holding it." Amanda, who was now on the floor, began screaming as members of the public rushed to the scene to help. Multiple calls were made to 911, and the fire department rushed to the scene. The firefighters worked promptly to rescue those on board, first saving the 2 that were hanging on in car 1. They used a tower ladder and a board to safely get them down. Out of the 10, 6 were transported to Halifax Health Medical Centre with minor to serious injuries. The ride was closed down and an investigation was launched. By the time the sandblaster arrived at Daytona Beach, it was old and needed a lot of work. It was refurbished on arrival, and seatbelts were added, although later investigation would show they were poorly placed, which resulted in 2 of the riders falling to the floor. They would also add the magnetic brakes on the ride and disable the old ones, but they didn't add enough magnetic brakes, meaning the train was too fast for the track. They knew this, but they opened the ride anyway. The investigators compared the speed of the sandblaster to similar roller coasters, and it was clear to see it was way faster than the others. This excessive speed meant the safety wheels would contact the track each time it went around the corner and would lead to the derailment. It was confirmed that the train had partially derailed before, hitting the brake and completely falling off the track. The only reason the car did not fall to the ground was because it was attached to car 2, which, although it had derailed as well, was still on the track. Evidence suggested similar incidents had occurred, but were painted over, with the accident brake fin showing prior damage. They then analyzed video footage, which indicated repeated instances of safety wheels lifting off the track, and calculations revealed consistently higher speeds on the accident ride, particularly after refurbishment. The report read, "After dismantling part of the support structure to gain access to the site of the accident, the engineer found evidence of a previous derailment that occurred after the ride was refurbished and initially permitted in 2013. There was also evidence of other derailments that likely occurred prior to that year. This meant it was clear the ride was not operating correctly, and operators brushed this aside." The report went on to say, "Based upon this information, it appears that the ride owner, or the engineer who signed the affidavit of compliance and non-destructive testing, either knew or should have known the ride was operating in a manner that presented a serious risk of injury to patrons. The owners covered everything up to past state inspection, resulting in the disaster." Morgan & Morgan represented 9 of the victims in court and they claimed that 3 out of the 10 would have lifelong damages. One of these was Amanda Bostic. I wasn't able to find the results of this lawsuit, but from the evidence presented, it would have been crazy if they didn't win. If anyone knows the results, please let me know in the comments below. After this, Boardwalk Amusements never recovered and the park was closed down. Although many of the rides were relocated, the Sandblaster had seen its final days and was taken down, never to be put up again. Sadly, some of the victims still suffer to this day. Melissa Collins was left with broken ribs and spine injuries, which required surgery. She claimed that day the lives of everyone on board changed. She vowed she would never go on another theme park ride again. I really hope she won her case and is doing better today, along with the rest of the victims. After this, each Pinfari roller coaster was inspected and regulations would change regarding the inspection of similar rides. Remember, when life throws you a curveball, don't let it derail you, unless you're on the Sandblaster LLL. Thank you for watching Horror Funk Town. Stay well, kiddies. See you on the next video.